Alright, welcome po sa continuation ng ating pong first lesson. No? So, I hope you were able to watch the introduction part already. So, tayo po ngayon ay lulundag na sa unang bahagi po ng Old Testament, which is the Pentateuch. The word Pentateuch came from two Greek words, which are pente and tukos, which means 5 volumes. So technically, ito po ay yung 5 books, diba? So it was composed of the first 5 books of the Old Testament. You have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Kaya siya tinawag na Pentateuch. The Torah, which is the Jewish designation for the first 5 books, is an appropriate tag for the first 5 books because they contain instructions for life. Together, these books establish the historical and the theological foundations for the rest of the Bible, and they also teach us how to live faithfully. So, tulad ng sinabi ko po sa introduction part natin na ang Pentateuch technically is the section for the beginnings. So everything about the beginning of humanity, of Israel as a nation, the establishment of the kingdom, yung establishment ng kanila pong society, lahat po ng iyon ay matatagpuan po natin sa first 5 books ng Old Testament or the Torah. What is the Pentateuch all about? The Pentateuch is basically the story of God's people, the nation of Israel. It also explains where the nation came from, how God saved her from extinction, and the struggles in her relationship with God. Although it's about the nation of Israel, tulad ng sinabi ko po kanina, sinabi ko po sa introduction, um, it's also the things that happen to the nation of Israel are also applicable sa atin because in the same way these people experience victory, defeat, the struggles that they have, their dependence on God, their lack of dependence on God, at some point their willingness to obey God, at many areas their disobedience sa Panginoon. Somehow it's very relatable for us kasi we go through the same journey, 'di ba? Tayong mga tao po. So that's why it's a mirror. It's the Old Testament mirrors yung atin pong buhay kaya very relevant din po siya sa ating kapanahunan. But more importantly, yes, it's a story about the nation of Israel, pero as a whole, it's a story of God. The story written by God to reveal His character, to reveal His plans, to reveal His love and mercy sa atin. The Pentateuch is not just a document to provide us with important and true information, but it's also there. It also exists to strengthen our faith. It was originally meant to encourage ancient Israelites to believe and trust in God because of His faithful relationship with their ancestors. So, without presenting a complete history of Israel, it traces the actions of God and Israel in history. Hindi naman po lahat ng pangyayari talaga sa bansang Israel ay idinetalye po sa Biblia, no? The authors only included those areas na talagang significant in coming up with the books that would really be useful not only for Israel but for the generations that would come after them. So, kung dinitalye po yung lahat, hindi po sapat ang 39 books para i-contain lahat ng mga pangyayaring iyon. So, at least yung nararapat po na i-include yung mga bagay na talagang enough na para ipakita po sa atin yung pagkilos ng Panginoon were included, were recorded, and were used by God to encourage faith sa ating pong kapanahunan. These are the names of the books in the Pentateuch and their meaning. So you have the book of Genesis, which means creation or birth, the origin of the covenant community, which is Israel. The second book is Exodus, which means departure. Okay, so development of Israel as a distinct nation, beginning with their deliverance from Egypt to the establishment of a priesthood. And the third one is Leviticus, meaning relating to the Levites, what it means for Israel to be holy people. Numbers, same lang, numbers, organizational structure of the nation. And then finally, Deuteronomy or second law, or it's Moses' final instruction in preparation for their entry to the promised land, which is the land of Canaan. Authorship. Generally, this is credited to Moses, no? He is the known author. There are a lot of texts both in the Old and the New Testament na magpapatunay po na siya ang sumulat ng Torah o ng Pentateuch. So, I cited some here. So, take time to read them. So, we have verses from the Old Testament. Then we have also some verses coming from the Gospels, and you have from the Book of Acts and Romans and some other. So ito po yung kanina yung sinasabi ko saan po nanggaling yung mga nilalaman ng ng mga aklat ng Old Testament. So paano siya naipon, paano siya naisulat, paano siya na-put together. So here are some of the sources. Number one, oral traditions. So makita nyo po in the Shema, mamaya makita natin kung ano yung Shema, no? They were told to pass on the law, the instructions to the younger generation. So that's part of their oral tradition. So yung mga kwento from one person to another, yung pagpapasa ng instruction from one generation to another, that's part of the oral tradition. So yan po yung isa sa pangunahin na source ng mga uh, nakabilang po dito sa Pentateuch, doon sa Torah. Ito po yung isa sa mga main sources niyan. Also, writings from the period of the patriarchs. So, pag sinabi natin patriarchs, we are referring to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even si Joseph. Ano po yung mga tema naman na nakapaloob dito sa tinatawag po natin na Pentateuch? So ito po ay yung pangkalahatan ng libro, no? Mamaya kada libro titingnan po natin yan limang yan at ano po yung mga tema na meron sila. Pero as a whole, ano po yung mga tema na nakapaloob sa Pentateuch? Number one, you have the fulfillment of the threefold promise. Ano po yung threefold promise na yan? So you have the land, descendants, and the relationship with God according to David Kleins. For Norman Y. Bray naman po, sabi niya, it's more on birth and adolescence of a nation. And then for Walter Eckroth, sabi niya, it's more on covenant. In the Old Testament, specifically in the Pentateuch, no, we can read at least three major covenants. You have the Adamic covenant, you have the Noahic covenant, the covenant God made with Noah, and then the Abrahamic covenant. We also have the other one, the Davidic covenant, pero yun po ay nasa historical books na. And then the New Covenant, which is the covenant of grace, which is found in the New Testament. For Walter Kaiser, it's about promise. God's judgment and mercy naman ang sa palagay ni Klaus Westermann. And then presence for Samuel Terrin. They are not in contradiction kung ano po yung tema. Para sa kanila ito yung mga major themes. Pero pag pinag-usapan po yung mga minor themes, they have all these things in the list of their minor themes. Para sa kanila lang, again, it's very objective, no, depende kung sino yung author na nagsasabi o yung nag-aaral po ng book na yon. So ito po mga tema na to ay very very subjective, at least the major themes, but again they all agree sa mga tema po na ito, pero sa kanila lang ito, para sa kanila ito yung pinaka importante, and then they had all the others as their sub-theme. So kaya po ganyan, hindi sila nagkakaiba-iba. For them, ano lang talaga, they prioritize one thing over the other. Other themes that we can find in the Pentateuch, we have the idea of redemption. Tanyo po, as early as Genesis, the idea of redemption is already present. So it was fulfilled in the New Testament. It was explained in detail there. The product of it was discussed by the New Testament writers. Pero the concept itself began in the Old Testament. And you also have humanity's submission, all right, and then God's sovereignty, and then God's relational character and holiness. So ito pong mga ito ah, ang iba pang tema na nakapaloob sa Pentateuch or sa first five books of the Old Testament. Here's a quick summary of the Pentateuch. This only kung i-divide po natin yung kabuuan ng Pentateuch, no, it could be divided into 6 sections. Ano po itong mga sections na ito? Number 1, you have the primeval history. So this one includes from the creation, okay, up to until the calling of Abraham. So nandiyan din yung story about the Tower of Babel, Abel and Cain, yung story ni Noah, nandiyan po yan nakapaloob. So after the first 11 chapter comes the age of the patriarchs. Now from chapters 12 to 50, diyan po natin mababasa yung story ni Abraham, ni Isaac, ni Jacob, and ni Joseph. Kasama po si Joseph dyan sa listahan ng mga patriarchs po na yon. And then when you enter Exodus, that's when we start to read about the slavery of the Hebrews, which was later known as the Jews. Okay, so there it narrates the liberation of the Hebrews from Egypt. And this is where Moses was first introduced to us. So dito na po yun. So after a long period of time, so again, yung transition po niya, no, di ba, you remember Joseph was uh, next in position sa bansa ng Egypt. And there was this famine, so eventually yung buong pamilya po ni Joseph, si Jacob, tapos yung kanyang mga kapatid po, they moved to Egypt. And then the Pharaoh gave them Goshen, okay, para po as a place for them to reside. So afterwards, namatay po si Joseph, then namatay yung Pharaoh, yung pumalit na Pharaoh, wala na siyang knowledge about Joseph. So eventually, naging harsh po sila yung treatment nila sa mga Hebrews. So from a welcome caravan, okay, sa panahon ni Joseph, they came there, they received all the favor made available for them because of Joseph. Eventually, nung namatay po si Joseph, they became slaves. And they started to cry out to God. So doon na po tinawag naman si Moses. He was raised in such a time as that so that he could be of use together with his brother Aaron and yung sister niya po na si Miriam para po pangunahan ang bansang Israel palabas po, I mean the people of God palabas ng Egypt. And then in chapter 17 hanggang 14 ng Exodus and yung aklat po ng Leviticus, doon po natin mababasa yung mga pangyayari on Mount Sinai and Horeb. So diyan na po yan. So you have uh, the giving of the tablets of stones, and then instructions about priesthood, about holiness and all. So andyan po yan nakapaloob. Then in the book of Numbers, we will read about their journey and all the other details about the people of God. And then in the book of Deuteronomy, which is the second law, dahil po namatay na lahat ng may kita natin to mamaya, no? So I'm just giving you an overview. Dahil namatay na po lahat ng naunang henerasyon na lumabas po sa Egypt because of their disobedience. They all died in the desert. Only the new generation was able to cross. So sa punto pong iyon, mababasa rin natin na that's why it was called the second law, or at least the reproclamation of the law. Why? Because it's a new generation and they needed to be reminded of the law of God. So it was repeated in the book of Deuteronomy. So towards the end po, do not forget that Moses is also part of the first generation uh, na ng ano na yun. Pero it was not the reason why he was not allowed to cross the promised land. There was an instance wherein God commanded Moses to speak to the rock, okay, so that it would produce water. Pero dahil po sa burst of emotion ni Moses, instead of obeying God, ano pong ginawa ni Moses? He struck the rock. So pinalo niya po yung bato, and that was God did not like that, because technically he disobeyed God in front of these people, in front of the people of God who were complaining, to God about their situation. So because of that, he was not allowed to cross the promised land, but God was gracious enough to make him at least have a peek of the promised land. So he climbed up the mountain, and from there he saw the promised land, and it was after that siya po ay binawian ng buhay. So makita nyo po, no, with the glance of this particular structure, ito pong simple summary na to, we can already see yung naging takbo ng kabuuhan po ng Pentateuch. Ganun po siya umiran. So with this, actually, you can give a quick summary of the first five books of the Bible. So that's it for as an introduction for the book of Pentateuch. Talo na po tayo sa unang aklat, which is the book of Genesis. First, the theme. Basically, it's a book of beginnings. So nandiyan po ang panimula. So yan po ang pinaka-tema niya. Creation, sin, and recreation. So every time we read the book of Genesis, or any book in particular, we really, it's important for us to understand the theme. Bakit po? Hindi natin to mini-mention just for the sake of mentioning. We are mentioning this so that we can be guided in our reading and our studying of the books of the Bible. Kasi yung atin pong interpretation in some, especially the difficult parts of a particular book, ay nakadepende po dapat doon sa pinakatema ng aklat. Kapag lumabas po tayo doon sa pinakatema, doon po nangyayari na misdirect po yung ating interpretation of the Bible. I'm sure you learned that from hermeneutics, ano. So that's why it's important for us to know, to understand the theme of every book na atin po binabasa, because meron po yung epekto sa atin pong pagkaunawa o yung interpretation po ng ilan sa mga bahagi ng mga libro na iyan. What are some of the foundational truth that we can find in the book of Genesis? Number one, relationship. Okay? Relationship between God and nature, and then God between God and humanity, and also relationship between man and man. Pangalawa, covenant, initiated by God through His grace and provides a way for humanity to be redeemed. So we have to understand that all the covenants, na at least the five major covenants na makikita po natin sa Biblia, they are all initiated by God. Si Lord po ang nagpapasimula nito, and humans are active participants sa covenant na ito. So ibig sabihin po niyan, si Lord ang magbibigay ng kondisyon ng covenant, siya ang magbibitaw ng pangako, at tayo po bilang tao, we have a role to play. doon sa fulfillment na yun. Para siyang ano para siyang it's an agreement technically between two parties, and one of the parties, tayo po yun. So, um, ibig sabihin, para mangyari po ang isang bagay, sa side po natin mga tao, meron po tayong dapat gawin. And even the capability and the desire to keep the the covenant is coming from the Lord Himself. So sa Kanya po rin ang gagaling yun. Sacrifice, the substitution of a life as a type of atonement. So makita po natin, even here, yung ginawa po ng ating Panginoong Jesus ay na-foreshadow na. And then finally, you have faith, trusting God and doing what He says. Structure of the book of Genesis. So makita natin you have, let me just go ahead and show this all. Primeval history. So from chapters 1 to 11, you have the yung succession po from one generation to another. So from the first few chapters, you have the creation, and then yung chapter 1 and chapter 2 talks about the creation of the world, and then the creation of man, and then yung mga succession na po. So Adam, then Noah, then the sons of Noah until the time of Shem. Tapos pagdating po ng chapter 11, diyan na po pumapasok yung history o storya ng patriarchs naman. So you have from Terah to Ishmael to Isaac to Esau, and then again and then to Jacob, hanggang sa dulo po niyan kay Joseph. So, kita niyo po, yan yung pinaka-structure po niya ng aklat ng Genesis. So for the primeval history, you have chapters 1 to 11. Chapters 1 and 2 discusses the creation, narrates the creation. Chapter 3 talks about the fall, and then the creation of the society from chapters 4 to 11. Patriarchal history, you have the story of Abraham, chapters 11 to 25, the story of Isaac, so chapters 21, 24, and 26, and then the chapter about Jacob, you have chapters 25 to 49, and then you have the story of Joseph from chapters 37 to 50. Covenants made with man in the Pentateuch. So we have the Adamic covenant, you have the Noahic covenant, Abrahamic covenant, the Sinaitic covenant or the Mosaic covenant. And then in the New Testament na yung tawag dito yung New Covenant, and yung hindi na po kasama rito yung Davidic covenant. Some notable events in the book of Genesis, you have, of course, the creation, the building of the Tower of Babel, the flood, the call of Abraham, the stealing of birthright, the selling of Joseph, and Joseph in Egypt. I hope lahat po tayo ay familiar sa mga bagay po na ito, no? So, I'm expecting na since nasa map po kayo, you are at least aware of the basic stories, or the most common events, or I mean the most popular events found in the Bible. So kung hindi pa po, uh, uh, I think this is the time for you to familiarize yourself with all these things, kasi ito yung mga bagay na dapat alam na po natin by now. Dapat we are at least familiar of the story. We at least know what went on sa mga stories po na yan. So I hope you are familiar, or you may at least make yourself familiar sa mga bagay po na ito. So that's the book of Genesis for you. Then we move to the next book, which is the book of Exodus. For the book of Exodus, ang tema po dyan ay deliverance, because technically, that is the meaning of the word Exodus. It's also about the commencement of Israel as a covenant nation. So hindi pa po siya nation talaga, dahil sa aklat pa po ng Joshua sila nagsimula na ma-establish doon sa Promised Land. Pero dito po makita natin na unti-unti na po silang nabuo. So coming out as slaves from Egypt, and nakita natin na naging mas distinct po yung kanilang pagiging nation when they came out of that nation, and when they had their own leader. leading them to the ways of God. Some foundational truth in the book of Exodus. Number one, Yahweh, the one true God. So dito natin may mabasa yung in the encounter of Moses with God, no, yung kataga na I am who I am. So yan po yung pangalan, ibig sabihin ng pangalan na Yahweh. Another truth here is the power of God. Ano pong sinasabi niyan? It tells us that He is the supreme God who has power over the gods of Egypt. So yung display of the power of God, kung tutusin, wala pa po yun sa kung ano talagang kaya niyang gawin. So you see, at first, it seems like a contest between God and the magicians of the Pharaoh. Pero eventually, nakita po nila na hindi nila ma-overpower ang ating Panginoon until by showing all those signs, all those plagues, by performing all those things, pinakita po ng ating Panginoong Diyos that He's supreme over the gods of Egypt. Third, you have the faithfulness of God. Makita po natin how God kept His promise to Abraham. Diba? God promised Abraham that he will have, yung kanyang descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand in the shore. So yun po ay tinupad ng ating Panginoon. And then you have the compassion of God. He saw the suffering of his people, he heard their cry, and he came to deliver them. So he raised Moses so that he could lead the nation of Israel out of Egypt and then save them from their oppressors sa kanila pong suffering. And finally, God in partnership with man. Look at this. God always looks for a man or a woman he can use for his purpose. You are here today, you are watching this video, you are enrolled sa kurso po na ito because you are that man and woman. Okay? Hindi po pumipili ang Panginoon. May kita po natin yan from the very, very beginning na hindi po perpektong tao ang ginagamit ng Panginoon to accomplish things for Him. Kasi pag ganun po, sino magte-take ng glory? Diba? Ang ginagawa po ng Panginoon, He would choose imperfect people, incapable people at least in the sight of man, to accomplish great and mighty things. Or these are ordinary people, nothing really special about these people, and yet because of the power of God in them, they were able to accomplish amazing things for the Lord. So the best thing that we can really offer God is not our ability. Kasi yung ability po natin talagang hindi siya sapat para i-accomplish yung pinagagawa ng Panginoon. So the best thing that we can really offer to God is our availability. Ito po mga tao na to, they were available, okay? They are not capable in all aspects, okay? You look at Abraham, he was chosen to be the father of the many nations pero wala siyang anak. 'Di ba? Eventually he had one son, um Isaac, and then Isaac was known to be the child of promise, and through Isaac doon po dumami yung mga yung lahi ni Abraham. Pero nothing special with Abraham. Another example is Moses. Moses, in fact, he tried to refuse his calling, no. Sabi niya, hindi ako magaling magsalita, uutal-utal ako, si Aaron na lang ang gamitin niyo, mas magaling siya. Pero again, hindi kasi kailangan ni Lord yung ano natin, abilities natin eh. What He wants from us is our availability. So God uses those who are willing to be used. So kung tayo po ay nananalangin na maging kagamit-gamit sa ating Panginoon, pero ang dami nating excuses, ang dami nating dahilan, hindi naman talaga tayo nagpapagamit sa Kanya. So do not expect na talagang magagamit tayo ng Panginoon. Make yourself available first. Okay, and allow the Lord to work in you and through you. And you'll see through you, God can accomplish great and amazing things. So, ganun po lagi. Some notable events in Exodus, you have the calling of Moses. then the 10 plagues, the Exodus itself, the wandering in the wilderness, the giving of the 10 commandments, the making of the ark, the building of the tabernacles, and the establishment of priesthood. Kung kayo po again ay clueless sa mga bagay na ito, I encourage you to pause this lecture. Ihinto nyo po muna. Go ahead and read the book of Exodus. Hindi po pwede na hindi tayo aware sa mga bagay na ito dahil these are the basic stories na even po yung mga students po sa kids church, they know at least majority of these stories. So wag po tayo magpahuli mga kapatid bago po tayo magpakalalim pa sa ating ginagawa. I hope you can go ahead and familiarize yourselves with the stories na po, no? All right, that's it for the book of Exodus. We move to the third book, which is the book of Leviticus. This book and the book of Numbers are the two most difficult to read na libro sa Old Testament. In our church, we have this reading plan that we launch every beginning of the year. So, kadalasan po, kaya ang biruan po namin sa aming simbahan is that marami na pong nakatapos ng at least ng Genesis at saka Exodus. Pero pagdating po sa Leviticus, hirap na pong tapusin. Why? Because it's really difficult to read because it's really both of them are Leviticus and Numbers are books of instruction. Very ano po no, very it focuses more on the priesthood, yung details ng mga about sa tabernacles, yung mga articles na gagamitin, even the yung susuotin ng priest naka-narrate doon, then numbers, you have how many people para sa uh, how many ilan yung kailangan na ganito, ano yung measurement sa ganyan. So kaya po nahihirapan ang marami na makatapos. Pero again, as you would see, ito pong mga aklat na ito ay very important then because they also teach us some foundational truth that can be applied to our daily lives. In fact, ito pong Leviticus na ito, the meaning itself ay napaka-importante. May kita natin, it talks about holiness. All right? And holiness is very important sa ating Panginoon. One preacher said, and I'm sure naririnig nyo na po ito, no? But just recently I heard him say na uh, uh, salvation is a one-time event. It's a one-time event, but sanctification is a process. So, ang holiness po yung pagiging banal, yung pagiging set apart, yung paglakad sa kabanalan, ito po ay isang proseso na ating pong pinagdadaanan. So, tayo po lahat ay dumadaan sa prosesong ito. At yun po yung isa sa pinoportray ng Leviticus. That holiness is very important sa ating Panginoon. Kita nyo po the instructions that God has specifically for the priests. Diba? Ang dami po nilang kailangan panatilihin kasi importante po yung role na kanilang ginagampanan and they cannot be defiled in any way if they want to serve as priests. And that's applicable for us. Tayo po mga pastor, tayo po mga teachers, mga preachers, medyo nalilimutan na natin ito eh. Ang ating pong buhay ay dapat na manatiling katanggap-tanggap sa harapan ng ating Panginoon. Dapat tayo po yung nagpapakita ng halimbawa ng pagsunod at pagsuko o pagpapasakop sa ating Panginoon. So that's why the major theme of the book of Leviticus is really holiness. Well, it talks about laws, feasts, and worship regulations. Pero lahat po ng ito ay pagpapakita rin po ng kabanalan. Okay? Yung pagnanais ng Panginoon na makita at manatiling banal ang bayan ng Israel. Holy here means set apart for God's purpose. And the title means pertaining to the Levites. The chief emphasis of this compendium or list of priestly regulations is laid upon the holiness of Israel as a nation, set apart for the service and the glory of God. It deals particularly with the proper presentation of sacrifices and the maintenance of a clear distinction between that which is clean and that which is unclean, according to Archer Gleason. So makita nyo po, doon pa lang po sa aklat na yun, malinaw na pong inilagay. Black and white po yun, kapatid. Walang gray area doon kung ano ang banal, ano yung hindi banal, ano yung katanggap-tanggap, at ano yung hindi katanggap-tanggap. So, technically, ang sinasabi po sa atin at tinuturo po sa atin ng aklat na ito ay ituring na banal yung mga bagay na banal para sa ating Panginoon at ituring po na hindi banal yung mga bagay na hindi banal para sa ating Panginoon. Dapat po walang gray area sa ating pong pamumuhay. Anything that is questionable, anything that shows compromises, hindi po natin dapat tinotolerate sa ating pong mga buhay. We have to live a life that is truly set apart for God, for the purpose of God, a life that is really holy before the Lord. Some foundational truth in the book of Leviticus. Number one, see sin separates. Sin is a barrier between the holy God and the unholy man. So yan po ang nag-reason kung bakit po tayo napahiwalay sa ating Panginoon yung kasalanan po. Secondly, sacrifice is necessary for atonement, life for life. So makita natin dyan, para kung ako po nagkasala sa panahon pong ito, para malinis po sa kasalanan ko, kailangan ko po mag-offer ng hayop. So yung hayop na yun dapat perfect, walang kahit na anong deficiency, walang kahit na anong defect. So dapat po malinis, banal sa harapan ng ating Panginoon. At yung buhay po ng hayop na iyon ang magiging kapalit, magiging kabayaran ng aking kasalanan. So it's a picture of what Jesus did for us. Ang pagkakaiba lamang po, ang dugo ng ating Panginoong Hesus, hindi siya temporary na panghugas sa ating kasalanan. It's a permanent solution to our sin problem. Unlike for the people in the Old Testament, they had to sacrifice every time they commit sin. Dahil yun po yun eh, the blood na umagos, yung blood ng animal na yun, ay sapat lang para i-cover o hugasan sila dun sa kasalanan na nagawa nila at that time. Pero pag nakagawa sila ulit ng kasalanan, they had to offer another sacrifice for that. Pero thank God dahil hindi na po natin kailangan gawin yon. Dahil ang ating Panginoong Jesus, ang kanya pong dugo, covers all sins. And we are forgiven sa ating pong mga kasalanan. And yet, kailangan po natin lumapit sa kanya and really confess our sins and ask for forgiveness because that's how it works. All right? Then another truth in the book of Leviticus is the God of mercy. If we follow God's regulations for atonement, then He will forgive. In our time, the mercy of God is demonstrated through our Lord Jesus Christ. So let me mention these things lang very quickly, no? The five kinds of offerings. So you have the burnt offering, grain offering, fellowship offering, sin offering, and guilt offering. This for your information lang. Not that important, pero I mean, not that it's important, pero it's good to know these things lang din para alam nyo rin po ito. And then some of the feasts and sacred days. So go ahead and read through them. So yan po yung mga feasts and sacred days sila. Para may idea po tayo kung saan po nagsimula yung mga bagay-bagay na yan. No? So you have the Sabbath day, Sabbath year of Jubilee, the Passover. So makita natin in the New Testament, madalas po namin mention yung Passover na yan. So at least we have an idea. Yung the day of the Feast of the Unleavened Bread. So ayan po, andyan din yung reason kung ba't siya ginagawa. We have the celebration of the first fruits. Okay, that's for the provision, recognition of the provisions of God. Then the day of Pentecost. So this is the 50 days after the Passover. So the Feast of the Trumpets, then the Day of Atonement, and the Festival of the Tabernacles. Some notable events in the book of Leviticus. You have the giving of instructions of the offerings, special days, sins, and diseases. You also have the anointing and the ordination of Aaron and his sons as priests. We also read about the death of Aaron, the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu for for their sins, okay, for the sins they committed. in mishandling the things of God. Then you have the announcement of rewards for obedience and punishment for disobedience. Again, no, plain and simple. If you obey, you get rewarded. If you disobey, then you get punished. Okay, so yan po ang aklat ng Leviticus. The fourth part is the Book of Numbers, another difficult book to read, pero very important din. So the theme is wilderness wanderings. Kita niyo po dahil sa katigasan ng kanilang ulo, yung journey that's supposed to take them a few days took them 40 years. Napakahaba po. Dahil sa kanilang katigasan ng ulo, nagpaikot-ikot po sila doon sa lugar na iyon sa gitna ng kawalan dahil po sa kanilang patuloy na pagrereklamo sa Panginoon until generation that came out of Egypt were all totally gone and the new generation came. So yung sumunod po na generation na yun lang po yung nakatawid. The spiritual lesson, according to Archer, enforced throughout the book is that God's people can move forward only so far as they trust His promises and lean upon His strength. So again, that's why paikot-ikot sila. Ang tagal nila doon. Why? Because they were dependent on their on themselves. They were complaining against God. They were disobedient. So sa halip na mabilis yung naging proseso, paikot-ikot sila. So baka yan din po ang nararanasan natin, no, mga kapatid. Hindi tayo makalabas-labas sa atin pong kinalalagyan. Paikot-ikot tayo because we are reliant on our own strength. We do not lean upon the strength of God. Or baka tayo po ay very disobedient sa panlabas para tayo. It seems like we are obedient because we are leaders. We preach, we teach. Pero yung katotohanan po talagang we are very disobedient sa Panginoon. So I hope hindi yan yung ating nararanasan. The tragedy of Kadesh Barnea, okay, was the unavoidable consequence of unbelief. Only true believers can enter into God's rest. Without faith, they can only die uselessly in the wilderness, exactly like what happened to the generation that came out of Egypt. What are some foundational truths that we can read in the book of Numbers? Number one, unbelief and disobedience forfeits God's blessings. So kapag ikaw ay hindi sumusunod, then you lose the blessings of God. And then another one is God's abiding presence. So kahit po, yan yung perfect example ng grasya ng Panginoon. Napakatigas ang ulo ng mga taong ito. They were disobedient. They grumbled against God. You know, they would always complain. They complained about the food, they complained about the water, they complained about everything. Nakalaya na sila dun sa pagiging slaves sila, pero yung mentality nila is very the same pa rin. So, nakakalungkot na mabasa na mas gusto pa nilang bumalik sa lugar ng kanilang pagkabilanggo kaysa i-enjoy yung kalayaan na meron sila. Pero despite all these things, nanatili po yung presensya ng Panginoon kasama sila. Imagine how gracious our God, how loving our God. God never left their side day or night. In the morning, the presence of God served as the pillar of cloud for them. Imagine, nasa gitna po sila ng disyerto. Napakainit. So, imagine, no, God protected them from the heat of the sun by being the shield or that pillar of cloud in the morning. At sa gabi po, alam natin na napakalamig at napakadilim po sa disyerto. So ano po ang naging simbolo ng presensya ng Panginoon? He was the pillar of fire by night. So imagine the grace of God sa buhay po ng mga taong ito. And yet, again, gracious ang Panginoon, pero He's also just. So these people who complained, eventually, they were not allowed to cross the promised land. Instead, they died in the desert. So think about that, mga kapatid. No? Pag-isipan po natin yan. How can this be applied sa ating mga buhay? How can this truth be of use sa ating po mga buhay? That's a very good thing to think about. Another one is judgment for complaining. So, and also, man cannot refuse God's decree. So, the story of Balaam and the donkey. So, ayan po. Some messianic parallels. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na I think sa introduction natin na there are events in the Old Testament na tumuturo dun sa ginawa ni Kristo sa New Testament. Number one, water from the rock. So makita natin Jesus is that rock, and from him yung water po na yun, yung buhay po na yan, no, it's coming from Jesus himself. The bronze serpent, ito yung sinabi natin na whenever they would lift that serpent, yung mga natuklaw po ng ahas ay yung may mga sakit ay gumagaling. So si Kristo po, John 3, sabi sa John 3, when he's lifted up, those who look upon him are also saved. Manna from heaven. Jesus called himself the manna from heaven, the bread from heaven. So these are all the messianic parallels, and there are still some more that we can find in the Old Testament. How about some notable events in the book of Numbers? So you have first the census, so and then the arrangement of the tribal camps. So dito na po finormulate yung mga camps na yan at kung saan po sila pupwesto surrounding the kung saan sila dapat tawag dito nakadestino. Then you have the Israelites complained and they were punished. You have Miriam and Aaron opposed Moses. Then the sending of the spies to scout the promised land. This is the first time I think Joshua was introduced, no? Joshua was one of the 12 spies na pinadala po sa promised land, and one of the only two spies who gave a good report about the land, and the rest of the spies, they gave bad report. Okay. And then the scouting report, and then Moses struck the rock, which eventually the reason why he was not able to cross the promised land. And then last book for the Pentateuch, you have the book of Deuteronomy. So the theme is all about remembering the law and the covenant, their slavery, the Exodus, the miracles of God, the sins of the past, the disciplines of God, and their history as a nation. So why is this the major theme? Again, because this is the time na new generation na po ito. That's why there's a need for them to be reminded of these things. Kaya siya second law, yung Deuteronomy, because of that. Literally, second law, the Exodus generation is gone, except for Joshua and Caleb, and this new generation needed to hear God's laws again. What are the truths that we can find in the book of Deuteronomy? The foundational truth, number one, again, obedience brings blessings, disobedience brings curses. So God's promises are conditioned upon our walking in His ways. So do not expect God would bless you kung tayo po'y namumuhay ng hindi tama. Kung tayo po'y sumusuway sa Panginoon. Gusto mong napagpala ng Panginoon, then matuto po tayong sumunod. And when we talk about blessings, we are not just talking about material blessings, no? You see, marami po sa atin, anyway, basta hindi po siya limitado dun sa mga material na bagay. Technically, pag tayo po ay sumunod, yung buhay po natin at lahat po ng aspeto ng ating buhay ay tunay po na mapapagpala ng ating Panginoon. The book closes with Moses' death and a great epitaph to his life and relationship to and service to God. So, though Moses was not able to cross the promised land, God gave him, the proper send off from this life. So, he honored Moses in front of the people of Israel because of yung kanya pong paglilingkod sa Panginoon. Moses was not perfect as evident do sa kanyang somehow disobedience sa ating Panginoon, but yet because he obeyed God in most areas ng kanyang buhay, sa malaking bahagi ng kanyang buhay, nakita natin kung paano po siya in-honor ng ating Panginoon. Ito po yung mini-mention ko, no, yung Shema. Ano ba itong Shema na ito? Very important po ito sa mga taga-Israel. It is found in Deuteronomy 6:4-9. Allow me to read this to you. Sabi dyan, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. So, Shema technically means hear, listen. So yung pasimula po ng passage na ito, no? So ito po ay napaka-importante sa kanila para po itong ano if I could say it, no, para siyang statement of faith ng mga Hudyo ng Nation of Israel. Ito po yung kanilang pinanghahawakan. Ito po yung kanilang tinatayuan. Ito po yung kanilang lagi nilang inaalala at sinasapamuhay. It's very, very important for them. It's the Jewish confession of faith made of three scriptural texts. So you have Deuteronomy 6, and then 11, and also one in Numbers chapter 15. Here are some notable events in the book of Deuteronomy. Number one, the restating of the Ten Commandments, the renewal of God's covenant with the people of Israel in chapter 29, the selection of Joshua as the successor of Moses, then the blessings of the tribes of Israel, and then finally, the death of Moses. So these are the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch or the Torah. Now, how does the Torah anticipate Jesus? Iko-connect na po natin ito sa ating Panginoong Hesus, no? So titingnan natin how does what does it say about Jesus? Or how does the Torah or the Pentateuch introduces Jesus to the readers, to us, to the people of God, to the Christians in our time? Sabi rito, the Torah initiates the story of redemption. So it begins there. It begins in the Torah. God created humanity innocent, and they enjoyed a harmonious relationship with God, as we can see in Genesis 1 and 2, until they rebelled against Him in chapter 3. And then they lost the blessings that are the result of a healthy relationship with God. So we also saw that God does not give up on humanity, but pursues them for reconciliation. Humanity sinned. Adam and Eve sinned. That's how sin entered the world. And yet, instead of saying na, okay, they sinned, so I'm done with this man. I'm done with these human beings. So I'm completely cutting off any ties or any relationship or any connection with these people. Instead of doing that, God provided a way. God thought of a way. God came up with a plan so that one day man could be reconciled to God. So a key moment was when God entered into a covenant with Abraham and promised him, ano sabi doon? You will be a blessing and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. And again, okay, it was fulfilled through our Lord Jesus Christ. So the New Testament points to Jesus as the fulfillment of that promise. Ito pong pangako na sinabi ni Yahweh, na binitawan ni Yahweh kay Abraham that he will be a blessing and all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So yan po, ang katuparan po niyan ay nangyari sa pamamagitan po ng ating Panginoong Hesus. So if we are to trace the line of Jesus, again, lahat naman po tayo, galing tayo kay Abraham. So technically, Jesus is the seed of Abraham, as we are the seed of Abraham. But only through Jesus that the promise of God, the covenant of God with Abraham was fulfilled. So Paul comes right out and says it in Galatians 3:16. The promises were spoken to Abraham and to his seed. So tingnan niyo po the scripture does not say and to seeds. Hindi po sa ating lahat yung mga seeds ni Abraham. Okay? But to your seed which pertains or which points to Jesus Christ himself. We are blessed, okay, through Jesus. We receive the blessings of God through Jesus. Wala na pong ibang kaparaanan. So again, Jesus is the fulfillment of that promise. Our second example is the Exodus, where God saved his people from slavery so that they could journey to the promised land. Jesus saves us from bondage, bondage to sin and guilt and death. No wonder the Gospels point out how Jesus' life and work mirror the Exodus and wilderness wandering. So, tulad po kung paano niligtas ng Panginoong Diyos ang mga Hebreo from slavery, from bondage, from death, from all those things. Ganoon din po ang ginawa ng ating Panginoon Diyos sa atin sa pamamagitan po ng ating Panginoong Hesus. So again, sisimula pa lamang po tayo, nasa Pentateuch pa lamang po tayo, pero nakikita po natin how the Old Testament points to our Lord Jesus Christ. That's why, again, the study of the Old Testament is very, very important. That's all for our first lesson. So here are the sources. Ito po mga materials na ito will be made available sa atin pong Google Classroom. So you can check on them. I will provide a copy for every one of you so that meron po kayong babalik-balikan. But go ahead and watch this video and then come up with your reflection for lesson 1. Again, please do not forget to mention at least some part ng natutunan po natin sa ating introduction kasi importante rin po yung mga bagay na natutunan natin doon as you come up or make your reflection for this particular lesson. So, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat. Forgive my voice, okay? Forgive if sa video po natin ay medyo inuubo-ubo po ako. Pasensya na po kayo. Please include me sa inyong panalangin. Ako po yung maka-recover ng mabilis so that I'll be able to siguro teach better in the next coming video. So, yun lamang po for now. Thank you po ng marami. God bless you all and I'll see you in our next lessons. God bless you all.